I would like to welcome everyone to Steve Tees Off. A shout out to riversidegolf.ca, our sponsor and great friend Ken Poirier. Without his help and support, this podcast would not occur. I encourage everyone to check out riversidegolf.ca. He does have a shop down in South Surrey. He has a humongous online presence. And not only that, he's a great chap. He has very learned staff, and he's a local business.
Perfect.
Okay. So having said that, I would like to welcome Nathan Leonhardt. Nathan, we've been trying to get together for a while. And I thank you so much for coming to the studio today. And what I like to do is one of my pet peeves, and I always say this about podcasts and anything, is I want to know who is being talked to, and I want their story, and then I can put things into context. So without further ado, I want to welcome you, and I want to start off with before we get into what you're currently doing and your teaching and your professional career. I want to start off with where was Nathan born?
Yeah.
Okay.
Regina, Saskatchewan.
Oh, the Queen City.
You said you were from the prairies, so I was wondering where.
Wascana Lake. Well, I know, but I'm from Winnipeg.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. Regina. Holy smokes.
But we moved to Richmond when I was 5. Okay. So I don't remember anything about growing up in Regina, Saskatchewan, other than, I'm thankful my family brought me to Vancouver. Grew up in Richmond ever since.
So when did you pick up your first golf club? When was it?
Not until I was 16 years old.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just, my dad had tried to get me to play golf when I was younger. It just wasn't interesting to me. I didn't care for it. And so he didn't push me, which is great, but it wasn't until my family and I were in the Okanagan with my aunt and uncle, and they were going to go golf, and they wanted me to come play. And of course I said no, because I wasn't that interested. And this is when I was 16. And they said you could drive the cart. And so I was like, fine, I'll go, because I got nothing else to do. So I went and drove the cart around, and it was on the back nine. I think it was about the 15th or 16th hole. They're like, why don't you just give it a try? Take one of my clubs, my dad says, and play the last couple holes with us. And so I did, and I hit some good shots, and I parred a hole. It must have been.
Had you swung a club before?
I had swung when I was like a little kid, because my dad had taken me to the driving range.
So your family was your father into golf?
Yeah.
He was a golfer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got photos of him in Hawaii with no shirt on from back in the day, playing Kapalua and stuff.
Okay.
No shirts.
Okay. Putting things into context.
Yeah, 100%. And so I parred a hole. I don't know how, but maybe it was a par 3 or something. And anyways, I was like, wow, I might be kind of decent at this. And so once we got back home, decided to give it a go, and I joined the Mayfair Lakes Junior program, and the rest is history.
So you started. So were you obviously when you did that? Did you get you joined the junior program? Did you have start taking lessons?
Little bits. I got introduced to. First person would be, I believe, was Taryn Attlee.
Okay.
So, and between Taryn Attlee and a family friend of ours who had played on the Canadian Tour in the past, Dale Wolf, who was actually on television and for a while, and between them, just getting some lessons, starting to learn the game a bit, from someone like Dale, who had played at a very high level. I would go out on the golf course with him, and he'd kind of just teach me how to play, learning technique and stuff from Taryn and things like that. And then from there, I would say that I took lessons on and off, but I grew up on Golf Channel.
Okay.
I was watching the Golf Channel every single day, and good or bad, I learned a lot. And the etiquette part of the game. I'm always interested in the etiquette part of the game, because I learned the etiquette part of the game from my dad. Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah. I'm sure.
You know,
Yeah.
how did you learn the etiquette part of the game? Like, because it's one thing to be teaching, okay, you're being taught and how to hit the ball and do certain things. And then there's the whole other part of the game, which is, listen, son, you don't,
Walk on someone's line.
that's right. You don't throw your clubs.
Yeah.
You don't cuss out. You don't do. There's certain things. If you're playing, if you're slow and you're in a foursome and there's a group behind you, you let them play through.
Yeah.
There's so many nuanced things to the game of golf. So where did that?
I think just little bits from each teacher.
Okay.
And then just going out on the course and learning some hard lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure maybe at Mayfair there was probably an etiquette course that we did. Most golf courses have that for juniors. You got to go through a etiquette course to keep your membership or whatever, part of the joining process. So I'm sure I did that. But I still remember this one time when I was playing with Dale. We were out at Northview and he was getting ready to hit his shot and he was pretty ready to go. And I was in front of him, but I walked up to see a sprinkler head just to see what the yardage was on it and walk back. And I see him back off the shot and look at me like, I'm ready to go. What are you doing? Why are you walking in front of me when I'm ready to hit the shot?
Yeah.
And I still remember that to this day because it's like, okay, I get it now. Back then, I'm like, I just wanted my yardage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is someone who, he's played at a high level. He knows you don't walk or talk or something while someone's about to hit. And so little things like that have come up, along the way. I think I've learned.
Do you think we're maybe lacking a little bit of that now?
100%.
Anyone sitting in that chair when I ask that question always goes, yeah, straight face. Yes, we are. We are. That could be that's a whole nother discussion. But so you're at Mayfair Lakes, and you're playing, and I would imagine your dad's encouraging this because he wants to play with his son.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He
was. But we would play a little bit, but honestly, I just love to just go out and play myself. And I think what I learned at Mayfair was just going out and playing golf. That's just the way I ended up being. I wasn't a big practicer, even as a professional golfer. I'd love to just get out on the golf course. And I think I developed that right from the beginning.
Okay. So now that you're in the junior program at Mayfair, next step is, when did you play in your first tournament, your first junior tournament?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I started when I was 16 years old, so there's not a lot of junior
That's
golf
right. You're
left.
not. Yeah. You're.
Yeah.
It's not like you're 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did play junior golf, but that would have been, I think I started maybe my first tournament when I was 18.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it was a CJGA event. I've partial memories of it being at King's Links. And I remember, I think I maybe finished second or something in my age group because there's not a lot of 18 and overs,
Yeah.
And I just remember that these kids who are, 13, 14 or whatnot, even though I'm not in the same group as them or the same category as them, they were kicking my butt pretty good.
Yeah.
These
They've
are
been
good
playing
guys.
since they were 8 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I thought it was cool, to finish whatever it was, top 3, and just kind of kept, another thing that sparked the fire that this is what I wanted to do and continue trying to improve it. Yeah.
So you continue on. You're obviously you're going to school. You finish school. You're in high school. Then what's the next step in regards to education and golf?
So I knew that I wanted to continue playing golf, and so a golf scholarship was something I wanted to get. But again, I started when I was 16, so that was I think the end of grade 10. Right. So I only had 2 years, so it wasn't like in 2 years I was ready to go and play collegiate golf and get a scholarship yet. So what I did was I went to Langara College, started getting university education, getting some credits, practicing, playing tournaments. And I believe it was after maybe a full season at Langara going to school that we started sending out resumes and things like that to schools. And not long after, I got a scholarship to go down to play at a school in Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Dallas.
Dallas.
Yep. So someone born in Regina, Saskatchewan, grew up in Richmond, and then first time away from the family is Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. And I knew no one. But I think what's cool about, golf teams or any teams in that sense is like you're a part of a family right away. And so even though moving to a completely different place, you feel like at home, because when you're on a team, usually there's people from other parts of the world. Like we had people from Poland and from England and stuff. So we're all in the same boat that this is different, right? But we're becoming friends and a bit of a family.
Yeah. And how did your how did that work out? How did that whole?
Yeah, it was, so I started playing better like I did from the beginning. Each year I was improving. I was still new to the game. So after 2 years at university, I had been getting better and I wanted more, right? I was like, okay, I went to this school that wanted me when I had only been playing golf for, let's say, 4 years. But now I'd been playing another 2 and I'm ready for maybe another jump. And so I think I took a little bit too big of a leap, because I went to, I got in touch with the coach at Arizona State University.
Okay. The show.
Yeah, that's the big leagues. And he had some interest because I had gone to some clinics with coaches that had known, who had coached at Stanford in the past, and so knew my name and whatnot. So he said, hey, if you come to Arizona State, we'll give you a chance type of thing. It's not like you're on the team, but if you're here, we'll see what you can do. Right. And so anyways, long story short, I went to Arizona State and the school was amazing. I mean, it's the best place you could go as a 20-year-old. And, but I never really got much of a chance. I played in one amateur tournament there and didn't do great. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. And so it was just too expensive for me and my family for me to go to Arizona State for the next, 2-3 years, right? And so I needed to find another path to finish my education, but can keep playing golf. And so then I got a scholarship at another school in Florida, in Miami, Johnson and Wales University, where I went for my final 2 years, did business management, became the captain of the team for the 2 years I was there, and graduated.
Okay, so you graduated. Was there, okay, so next step, you're always thinking ahead, you're thinking ahead. Next step.
Right into Canadian Tour Q School.
Right into Canadian Tour School.
So, I mean, I graduated, let's say, May or whatnot, and Q School was that winter.
Okay. What year are we talking here?
We're talking, I want to say, 2010-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. And so went to Canadian Tour Q School for the very first time in Palm Springs.
Nice.
Yep. And we played at, I'm blanking on the name, but it was on the east side of the highway, which is where it's very windy, or northeast, somewhere over there, on the other side of the highway, away from where all the golf courses are.
Okay.
And so it was super windy. But I played well, and coming down the stretch, I was in the mix, and I can't remember how many cards, maybe 20 or so, get status, and it was like full status too. And so I ended up making a par on the last hole, made like a 5-foot putt for par. Thought I was close. Anyways, got in, watching the board, hanging around the line, but I was just outside. And it wasn't until the very last group coming in that the final guy that was inside the number double bogeyed, dropping out and moving all of us who were tied. There would have been like 5 of us tied outside the number, moving us inside the number, and ended up getting our cards. Yeah.
So then the games. Now this is when What was it? Because I'm always confused when we talk about the Canadian Tour.
Yeah.
Was it called the Canadian Tour at that time? Was it called the Mackenzie Tour? Was it called the, was it?
It was the Canadian Tour.
Canadian Tour.
Yeah.
And how many stops? Like how many tour events were there?
I want to say, BC. I want to say one, BC, Saskatchewan, Alberta. There might have been two in one of those places, and then we're in Manitoba, Ontario, probably two. PEI, something over there. So it's around 8.
Okay.
8 or 9.
Okay.
Maybe Tour Championship we're at 9.
And did you have to, and when that hits, did you have to go out and get sponsorship? Did you have
Oh yeah. And that was a big part of it for sure. And once I it's funny because just before I turned professional, that summer, so I graduated college, and that summer I played the BC Amateur, and I didn't play great, but I had heard about this because at my age, I'm 25 at this point, right? I'm old because I started late and then went through 5 years of university to graduate. Yeah. So there was this Arizona Mid-Amateur Championship, so 25 and above in Arizona. And I had heard about it, and I loved Arizona. I had went to school there for a year, and I told my dad, I was like, hey, any chance I could try to go and play in this event? And the first thing he says to me, well, the BCM didn't go very well. Are you sure you want to go and travel down there and play this tournament? And I was like, yeah, I'm playing really good right now. I feel good. I went down there, I did it, and I ended up winning.
Wow.
The Arizona Mid-Amateur Championship just before I was planning to turn professional. And the reason I bring this up is because of the sponsorship fact that once I got back home, there was a member at a course that I knew who was interested in sponsoring me because of this tournament win. And he got another guy that was also interested, and they ended up putting together $20,000.
Big help, man.
To get me going. So if I didn't do that or win the tournament, let's say, I mean, I would have found some money, but it wouldn't have been so quick, right? And so, for sponsorships aside from that, I used to host fundraisers at Mayfair Lakes, like a round of golf and dinner, and then I'd get silent auction items and things like that. And actually, one of my big silent auction items was from Trevor Linden. He would, I reached out to them and got in touch with Trevor, and he ended up giving me signed jerseys for, I think, 3 years.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And for the first 2 years, he allowed us, and the person who purchased it, to go and meet him where he would sign the jersey in person.
That's fantastic.
So you can imagine, like, an item like that gets some pretty good money and gets things going towards my career.
And the thing is, and with golf too, because of the mental aspect of the game, and I'm not saying one of the last things you need to be worrying about is money, but it is the first thing that you're worrying about is how am I going to afford to be able to do this and chase this 100%. Passion.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It is.
It's just getting more expensive.
And more expensive.
Yeah.
More and more expensive. So those tour days, how long were you on the Canadian Tour for?
3 seasons.
3 seasons.
Played 3 seasons. Yeah.
And how did you do?
I would say not great. Good enough, but not great. I think my first tournament might have been one of my best at Uplands, and I can't remember what it was, some top 20 in there at some point. But I never really had any real high finishes. And mentally is where I really struggled. The confidence that I belonged out there, starting the game late and, always seeing these players so good. And I'm here, this late comer, and just everything's so new. I didn't have a lot of competition in junior golf, through into university golf, but it was still new, right? And I guess I just didn't feel comfortable in myself out there with these guys. And so then, along the way, I never could go low in those big, let's say, Canadian Tour events.
Yeah. And it is this is the thing. Like, in golf, just like any other sport, you have to have, it's almost like you have to have this cocky demeanor.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like you have to, and I'm not talking about an asshole-ish demeanor,
Arrogant. Yeah.
arrogance. It's, I can like, I can get up and down from here. I'm not panicking about this. And that's not something that somebody can just put a wand on you and say, oh, it's something that you have to learn. And the earlier that you, and I always, like, I say this about, it's like boxing. It's like anything. Get in the ring early when you're a young kid to see if you can handle tasting your own blood. That's how brutal it is. And then if you can do that, then we can move on past those other things. And I could see how starting golf at the age that you did would be so, it would be very extremely, it would be more difficult
For sure.
because you don't like, and it's not, it's something you have to live through. You've got to live through that. And, you know, in my very, very hackish, limited career of golf, I played, you know, I only played one junior event, but I would play senior events, and a few of them, and there were a couple of them I was leading, and we were talking big ones in Manitoba, and you know, my parents would be listening, they would be somewhere and listening and hear my name on the radio, and then I'd fall apart.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like,
The belief was
that's right. I'm not going to say I didn't have the finish, but then you start realizing, oh man, like I'm in the lead, you know, and then it all it's learning. That's that learning process, and it's extremely difficult to you can't teach that.
No,
you have to live it. That's
sure.
right. You have to live that. So you know, so this passion turns in. You turn pro. There's a grind that you go through for a couple of 3 years, and you know, then you're starting. You must have been thinking in your head, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. You're thinking in your head, where's this going to take me? Where am I going to go with this? Let's talk a little bit about that. Explain that process, because at the end of the day, you did end up teaching. Okay, but how that path towards teaching?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
After the 3 years on the Canadian tour, I ended up, because I wasn't seeing much change, the first year of the PGA Tour China was starting in 2014, and I decided to do it. And so I went and moved to China and played a season over there. And you know what? I played a lot better there. I made almost every cut, except for one when I had food poisoning. That was a tough one. I had to withdraw from the tournament because I couldn't make it through. And so anyways, I played quite well. But the problem that ended up happening was towards the end of that season, my back started to hurt. My low right back started to hurt. And the season finished, I came back home, and I was like, okay, well, I obviously need to take a little bit of time off here. My back's not doing well. I don't know exactly what's going on. I saw specialists and whatnot, and there was a little of this, a little of that, but nothing like distinct of what it exactly was. So my plan was to take some time off so that I could get ready for the next season. Right. Now I'm in probably maybe September right now thinking this. It was within the next week, I get a phone call from someone I knew at Richmond Country Club, because Richmond Country Club was where I was practicing and playing as a tour player. They had allowed me to use the course as a tour player. This person calls me and says, I've been teaching this junior, and their family is wondering, since you're taking some time off, if you'd be interested in teaching his younger brother. They're looking for someone pretty full-time, you know, kind of every day type of thing after school. And I'm like, yes. I mean, I need money. I don't have a job because professional golf is my job.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that right now because I can't physically. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So ended up starting to teach this junior, and it started going well, and they wanted me to travel with him to tournaments. and I would pick them up from school. I would take them to the golf course because they were members at Richmond Country Club. So I was able to go. They allowed me to kind of do some teaching there just with this student. And it just kept going, and he started doing well. I started enjoying what I was doing in that, the teaching, kind of taking my background as a high-level golfer and instilling these lessons that I wish someone would have told me about along my journey. And long story short, I ended up teaching him and his brother eventually for a handful of years. And during that time, I had some college players start coming to me, some mini tour players start coming to me, because I was known for my short game, good at chipping and putting. So people who would start to come and see me for that, and they would start getting some good results and start playing well. So I started teaching not because that was my plan, but I was backed into it from an injury, and then found out I actually quite enjoy this.
You fell into it.
I fell into it.
You fell into it. And did you start, is that when you officially started the Tour Development Academy? Or no, you were still just...
It happened, Tour Development Academy came after at least a couple of years of teaching these juniors and some college players. I'm like, hey, I love the idea of developing players to try to get to the tour. And so just playing on the words and stuff, that I came up with the Tour Development Academy. And that's where it was born from. And so after, years of teaching, it's funny because I started teaching really good players in the beginning. After doing that for a while, then, some, 15 handicaps started reaching out like, hey, do you, teach regular golfers? I was like, yeah, sure. And so then kind of that slowly started, and word of mouth just started spreading, and I just started teaching all levels of golfers after that.
And you were doing this all out of Richmond?
So I started at Richmond Country Club with the juniors, and then as I started to teach kind of regular golfers, I started using some other indoor places in Richmond that would allow me to kind of teach some lessons here and there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this time, at this point, had you realized that coaching was your lane, or did you still have in the back of your head, okay, I'm doing this. I'm just doing this because, I'm just doing this to pay the bills right now. Yeah. But ultimately, I want to get back out there. Or had you made that commitment and said, you know what, this is for me? So
there's two answers to that. One was that my back never stopped hurting for about 5 years.
Okay.
So I had pain in my back for 5 years every day. And I flew to Toronto to see specialists. I had all the imaging, and, at the end of the day, they're like, we could do surgery, but we don't know if this is exactly it.
Yeah, and those are the words you really like hearing.
Yeah. So I'm not going to have them slice me open if I'm not sure that they're going to be fixing it.
Yeah.
So that was what really kept me away from, I guess, in my mind, I'm not thinking about going back into competitive golf because the pain was there. I can't. Like, the pain was so much that I don't even want to play golf. I just want to be pain-free.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until like 5 years later when I really started, and this was a little bit of help from some doctors and a little bit of help of kind of my own understanding of how the core impacts the spine and supports it. And so it wasn't until I really understood how to brace my core in everything I did, walking, sitting, standing, picking things up, that once I started understanding how to brace my core each and every day properly, after a month of doing that, my pain level started to come down in my back. And then the next month, without even knowing, I'm like, whoa, when did I last have pain? I don't even remember. And then from there, I've pretty much been pain-free since, 2020.
Well, at the same time, enjoying the game of golf.
Yeah.
From a teaching perspective. Yeah. And ultimately, I know you still play. Okay.
I do a bit now.
I know you still play. So, you describe, you're like, are you very, and I ask this question because there's a lot of, are you selective as to your students, or like what is there, because there's, and I'm not suggesting things are any, I do think things are a little bit worse than they were before. I'm going to say, okay, Nathan, I'm going to say that. But that, you're good teachers of whatever they're teaching do not want to waste their time with students that are not into it, that they're, and sometimes that's a difficult conversation with a parent, to say, listen, you know what, little Johnny here, he doesn't care. Like he's not paying attention. And I just don't think that this is going to work. Yeah. And sometimes they're offering you a lot of money, but at the same time, you're going, you know what, my time it's not just the money. Yeah. It's the commitment that I'm going. So do you that's just a long way of asking this question of you, Nathan, do you like when somebody reaches out to you, you don't just automatically say yes, or do you?
So I would say that when it comes to me, I only, if we're talking about competitive players, I'll only have maybe a handful at any given time of high-level competitive juniors and whatnot. So I don't really, let's say, have time for others unless I know that they are really high level. I'll find time, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So in terms of regular golfers, the way I kind of price my lessons and things like that, if someone just comes for a 1-hour lesson, it's pretty expensive. But I give a little bit more of a discount for my packaging players because I'm looking for people who want the process, So you can call it a discount on, for me, getting the type of people I want to work with who are more committed, and then sure, I'm still going to have people who get a 1-hour lesson and maybe it's not enjoyable, maybe it is enjoyable, but I find that the way I have it set up, I'm usually finding players that I want to work with more often.
And you describe your coaching style as results driven and player focused. Okay. Now I guess there's, what does that actually mean? Because everyone would say that, results driven, player focused, that kind of thing. But what does that mean?
So I think that, when this was like out of the beginning of the Tour Development Academy, right? That when it comes to especially competitive players, there's no hiding, right? You got to score, you're on the leaderboard, and you can come up with all the excuses in the world, but if you're not getting the results and you're not performing, well, you should get fired as a coach, or you should fire the students and their families because they're not taking what you're teaching them seriously, right? So it's a bit of both. Like, it's not only the coach's fault, but it's not only the student's fault either. It goes hand in hand. And so I think that, that's just where it came from.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now me, in terms of like my style of coaching, is I'm all body centered. Like, I'm all about helping figure out your body, how you can move, your limitations, because how you can move dictates how we can develop a golf swing for you. If you physically can't move your shoulders in certain ways, well, you can't get the shaft in certain planes, things like that. So we either work around it, or I help you, with the help of maybe my fitness experts that I use, to get the body in the right positions, help you move properly, move better. And so again, when I start getting these students coming in their long term, one of the first conversations I'm going to be having with them is, okay, we're limited in these areas. I would really love you getting in touch with one of my golf fitness specialists, start getting the body moving better, because that's only going to make our life together easier, because I'm going to be able to help you get in positions that is just going to make your swing so much better. And if you can be doing that outside of our lessons, then when we're working together, we can be getting to work, right? I'm not trying to stretch you and things like that.
And do something that doesn't fit you, kind of thing.
Exactly.
So a quick nod, you were named the PGA of BC Teacher of the Year in 2022. And what did that recognition mean to you? Having, I don't want to harp on you starting golf so late. I say so late, like that's like Jesus. But the fact is, it's true. Like gymnasts start when they're 3 years old. You know what I mean? Like 2 years old. But what did that recognition mean to you?
It was incredible, to be honest, because I had been working really hard to that point. Trying to become one of the best teachers, coaches was definitely a big goal of mine. I had tried, yes, I started golf late, but I was trying to become the best golfer in the area. Then, trying to make it on the world stage. And it was no different once I got into teaching and coaching. That passion is inside me, of just wanting to be really good at something and figure it out. How can I be better? And so, all the hours I spent, researching, or the courses I took online, learning about biomechanics and the golf swing and this and that. When I did win that award, it was incredible. It just felt like a lot of hard work paid off in a different kind of way. And then, being able to use that to kind of help build the academy bigger and my teaching bigger from there.
You talk a little bit about your online program, and I have obviously checked you out and looked out, and you have a substantial online presence and program, and you talk about helping players and coaches at scale. And online provides you that opportunity. It's easy. Now, how have you? Let's talk. I don't want to get down deep into the weeds, but what was the impetus of that? Saying, listen, you know what? I have a message here. I have the ability. I obviously I've received some recognition. I must be good at something, and to be recognized amongst your peers, that's substantial. Like to say that, listen, this guy or girl knows what the hell they're doing.
Yep.
And so what talk a little bit about that online component.
So when it comes to coaches, I found, over the past couple of years that, I love building things. I love getting better, building the Tour Development Academy, building my academy, having coaches come and work for me, helping them build their businesses. I was like, well, this is cool. It's different than just teaching golfers how to swing a golf club. And so I created a program called Coach to CEO, and that was just trying to take all this knowledge that I had, both of my successes and failures on trying to grow my businesses, and try to help other coaches around the world, because I just found that with how booming golf is, I just still felt that there were so many instructors out there who weren't doing well or weren't really succeeding so well, even though there's just so many lessons to be had and so much money to be made. And so I just felt like it was an opportunity for me to kind of share my knowledge and expertise. And like I said, my successes and failures on how I've built a database of students from scratch, right? From having absolutely no teaching background at all as of 2015 to then becoming the PGA of BC, like you said, winning the award in 2022 and building this academy that's known. And so I just found it was a good time for me to help other coaches.
Now we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. The hat.
Yes. Stick.
I'm a fan. And I may stand to be corrected that there hasn't been a golf series that I can remember. And I'm not saying I'm 100 years old either, but I don't I could tell you golf movies. Everybody knows Happy Gilmore. We got his golf ball sitting right here. Tin Cup. We talk about all these golf, but not a series. Which is unique.
Yes.
And I want how did that opportunity come about, Nathan? Talk about that.
I mean, it's so cool to talk about the beginning because obviously what's come out of it is so amazing. But I still remember where I was in my living room. I didn't have any lessons. I think it might have been my day off or something from teaching. My wife is there, or kids are at school, and I get a phone call, and this guy's on the other line. He said, "Hey, my name's Chad, so and so. The production manager for this show that we're about to be filming in Vancouver. It's going to be an Apple TV show, and it's going to be starring Owen Wilson, and it's about golf. And we're looking for a golf consultant for the show."
And you're going, what?
This is all happening within 20 seconds. He's telling me this whole message. And he said, we're wondering if this might be something you might be interested in.
You could, could you give me a millisecond?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm too.
It's like my mind was going in so many directions. Okay, this is a scam. And then, yes, of course, that's a stupid question. I don't know where to go with this.
Yeah.
And so I said, wow, that's incredible. What was your name again? And so he told me, and he said, you can look me up online. And so I wrote his name down, and I did, and looking up online, and he was definitely real and in the movie business. And so on our phone call, he said, we're going to be needing someone full time. And this is going to be we're going to be needing someone at the beginning of May. And it's going to run into September. And at this point, I want to say we're in March. So we got less than 2 months for me now to change my entire business, because now I'm getting ready to start the busy time of year teaching, right? Vancouver, this is when the coaches are making their money.
That's right.
So I'm like, ooh, this sounds like a cool opportunity, but this is when I pay my bills. So he said, what I want you to do is, think about if you could do this, if you want to do this, if you could make it work, and if so, how much would you need to be paid to do it? And the only other thing is, I just need to know by the end of today. Crazy. So just like that, everything and it was a good thing my wife was there. She wasn't working. I wasn't working. We just had to have a conversation. Yeah. My wife had done some background acting stuff. She was like a background doing stuff like that in the past. So she had an agent friend in the business. So we reached out to him in the beginning to kind of ask, what does someone get paid to do this kind of thing? And he kind of gave me this. He didn't really know, because this was kind of a newish thing. This golf consultant, there wasn't a thing like that. But so at that end, I went and thought about, okay, what am I making on a daily basis teaching my lessons? Yeah. Right. Let's just start there. And then, okay, I'm going to have to miss my lessons over the summer. So am I going to start losing students now because of this? They can't see their golf coach. They're probably going to go somewhere else for lessons.
100%.
They're not going to just wait all summer when they want lessons and be like, okay, it's all right, Nathan. Yeah. The only good thing about that, in that it was filmed in Vancouver, we filmed Monday to Friday. So I still had the weekends. So I still did teach 2 days a week. But that's 2 days a week. It's not a lot, and I can only fit in so many lessons. Plus, I was working on the show 5 days a week, so now I'm working 7 days a week over the summer. It was pretty busy. And so anyways, back to the story is that, I thought about what I'd make, what would happen if I lose my students. And so I gave him a call back, and I said, hey, you know what, I'd really be interested in doing this. Great experience. But this is the busy time of our year.
This is the number.
Yeah, this is what I would need to make on a daily or weekly basis. And so he said, okay, let me talk with the producers, and we'll get back in touch with you. And so when that happened, I think it was like an hour later, he called me back and said, can we get you on a phone call with our producer tomorrow? I was like, sure. Okay. So I had a call with her, and went well. But then it was like another week went by. I never heard a word. And so I ended up reaching back out, and I just said, hey, just curious if you're still interested in me or not. I need to kind of plan my summer and things like that. So was just wondering if you're still interested in me for the position. And he said, yes, absolutely. Sorry, and I think they're obviously looking at other candidates and whatnot, making sure they find the right person. And he said, let me get you in touch with our creator. So the creator of the show is Jason Keller, and he was a writer for Ford versus Ferrari on Netflix. And we had a Zoom call, and after that Zoom call, I had it. We hit it off. They had sent me 4 episodes of season 1 as the scripts to read. And so on our call, he asked me, what'd you think? And it was pretty cool because as you read these scripts and someone like Owen Wilson, you kind of almost see him and the way he would say it. And like, I found myself laughing out loud, as I'm reading this, because I'm like, I can just see him doing this or saying something like this. And I was like, yeah, sounds awesome. Looks great. I mean, there's, a lot of golf terminology that needs to be corrected. There's, some things that don't really make sense in the golf thing there. But other than that, it's awesome. And he jokingly said, okay, good. I put that in there as a test just to make sure.
Okay.
And so we laughed, and then I had it. And so,
well, it's I know Justin.
Yes.
Okay, and Jackson.
Yes.
I've spoke with, and Justin's told a story about him getting like this anonymous text message and then a phone call and going like, are these my buddies trying to screw me over, like trying to make fun of me or something like that?
That was me.
Yeah,
that was me, which he forgot to mention.
Yeah.
That all came from you.
Yeah. And going, are you?
But it's weird.
Yeah. It's surreal.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of surreal.
I know.
But it does. That's how it works, right? So, so as a golf consultant, I guess your job would be like and the hours and one of the things that I did bring up with both of those and with Jackson and Justin, and one of the things that shocked them, and they're young guys too, was how hard everybody works and how laborious it is just to get that little piece.
Yeah.
But I would have, and as a golf consultant, your job would be to make it look real, right?
Yes.
To make it look real, like it's
at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, to make it look real, you're working with actors. That I guess the criteria for some of them isn't necessarily you have any association whatsoever with golf.
Yeah.
You just fit the. You fit the moat. Like,
Yeah.
Like Justin said, you were looking for a guy a specific size and and that's how it worked. And you're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. You're going to say, hey, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's give it a whirl. So, are there, are there any really funny stories from that you're allowed to share, like some things? Because I know you finished the first season, you just finished the second season, you were down in Los Angeles. I was aware of that. That you're allowed to talk about.
I think one of the best stories just in general of season 1 and season 2 was, this would have been in our first episode, one of our first 2 episodes that we were filming. And we were on a golf course. I want to say, I can't remember exactly. It might have been Guilford. It's the one with the power lines.
Guilford.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And we were setting up a shot. So we were in between takes. They were setting up a new shot. And we're on I think it's the 9th tee box. And over the pond is the first green. Maybe not the 9th tee box, maybe it's the 4th tee box, but it's like 70 yards from one tee box over a pond to the first green. Mm-hmm. And so you got me and Justin and Peter Dagger, the Santi character, and then Owen Wilson. And we're like, okay, let's have a closest to the pin contest over this water onto the green. And then there's a road over on the other side of that, of a busy road of cars. And so I can't remember who went first. I think Justin went first. He might have just hit the green, but wasn't super close. I hit. It was okay again. I think Owen hit it, and I think it went on the green but rolled over into the back bunker. And then Peter hit it. And at this stage, like, Peter's pretty fresh to the game, right? Like, his swing is dialed, but he doesn't have a lot of golf course experience. So he hits this shot, and he hits it nice, and it's flying in the air, and he's already celebrating because he's like, I just hit a great shot, right? Airborne, going at the flag. He's jumping up and down, moving around, and this ball lands kind of on the fringe going towards the flag. It starts rolling, and I was like, Peter, you better watch it. You better watch it. Any golfer knows you got a ball going towards a hole. You watch it. And watch it, and he dunks it.
Are you kidding me?
Goes in. And we just go berserk.
Wow.
Crazy. There's no cameras rolling on us, but all these $100,000 cameras are around us. All the crew is there. Nothing's filming. But here we got Peter running. I'm running after him. Justin's running. We're hugging.
What a cool moment.
Such an amazing moment.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was
cool.
is my best story that I have from the show to date.
So now I'll ask you this: with season 2 just wrapping up, your role and experience, how's that evolved? How has that changed? Has it changed, or is it the same?
It's the same, but I would just say that it's gotten more in depth.
Okay,
where people just trust my position more. And they know how valuable my position is. Because when it comes to my role, a lot of people think that it's just to make the golfers look like golfers, which that is a big part of it. But then I work with every department in the entire production, because as the team that's designing the sets and whatever we're designing, the grandstands or whatever's going on, they come to me to make sure everything is authentic, or what they need to add, this and that. Or when it comes to the scripts and the writers, or it comes to special effects or visual effects, right? After the season's done, now we're working on making sure all the visual effects stuff is done.
Are you involved in that process?
I am.
Too? Okay.
So I see every episode come out. I've seen 9 episodes of season 2 already. But the thing is that it goes through such a process of putting these episodes together to make it all come together. The editing takes so long, right? It's almost like the same amount of time as it is to film the whole season, right? Yeah. So I would just say that now my role is, I do the same things, but it's just my hands are in it more, I would say. I think they just trust me now that I've been a part of it longer.
Now, this is a kind of it came to me actually a couple of days ago, this question. The similarity between building a TV series and building a golfer. The preparation, repetition, and the small details, all the unglamorous stuff. Are they analogous? Are they like, because you're doing something that you like? Golf is so freaking nuanced. Like you can do, like, you can swing and you think you swung and then you hosel it, like you shank it and you're going, what did I just do? Yeah. Is building doing what you were doing with the TV series, and like, is it that nuanced? Yeah.
I mean, again, there's so many moving pieces, just like a golf swing.
Yeah.
There's so many moving parts to a production, and that, like, let's say when we're filming, I got to have my eye on everything. Because even if it's not my department, let's just say that it has to do with the costumes department, wardrobe, right? And there's times where, you know, a background tour player has a tailor-made bag but is wearing a PXG hat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
like that could easily
yeah.
just like miss that,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm not a part of the wardrobe department, right? I'm not a part of that. They kind of have their things, but again, that's where it's hard to always have every conversation.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many little conversations that need to be had with every department, and so those kind of things I got to catch on the fly,
Mm-hmm.
and usually we do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know we don't, then the last resort is we have to fix it in post-production or something like that.
But what you are saying is it is just as nuanced.
There's so many pieces.
So many pieces to put together.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to change. I want to talk about you obviously you have a family and life balance too.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy, and how everything has kind of happened very quickly for you over the last 10 years. And you have to, you know, I'm sure that you've had to set boundaries as to, you know, what, and sometimes the hardest thing to do is say no.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing I would imagine to you is your family. And that's the glue that keeps everything together, for you. And I would, between the, like, and I don't know, is there a season 3 or you can't say?
Well, the plan with you'll have to watch, but there should be. But that's up to Apple to decide on that.
And so, but in that ensuing, those ensuing things that are occurring, you also have a life to plan too. Mm-hmm. You've got a family.
Yep.
You've got your students that I'm sure that you're still working with. Yeah. And you don't want to do them a disservice, as well as the fact that if you're out of the picture, they're going to go somewhere else, and you don't want, but you enjoy doing the teaching part of it, and that in essence is that's your livelihood. Yeah. This doing the golf consultancy work, that's that just happened.
Yeah,
and that would be wonderful if that became something more. But I think you're being realistic and saying, okay, I have and my family's the most important thing. My business that I have with the academy that I've got to build on that. I've got the online thing. Talk a little bit about balancing all of that.
Yeah.
And being able to prioritize what's and it doesn't have to be it just I'm just interested in
for sure. And it's a great question, because not many people think about it. Mm-hmm. You know, they're just like, oh, you do this, you do that. That's cool. Awesome. But there is always something that is going to be missing out. The more you take on, there's something that is missing out. Mm-hmm. Right. I'm so lucky to have such an amazing wife, because she has allowed me to work hard and to, let's say, fulfill my dreams of becoming successful, which has brought on opportunities like this show. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know not everyone has the same opportunity, and I'm just so lucky that I have her to help me with that. And, you know, I was just in Los Angeles for 4 months. Mm-hmm. My family didn't move with me.
Yeah.
You know, Apple didn't pay for my family to live with me down there, right? So I needed a partner to be able to help take care of our 2 daughters, who are 3 and 6 years old.
Mm-hmm. And they need their dad.
They need their dad. They absolutely need their dad. So it wasn't easy. You know, it wasn't easy, but, you know, we got through it just fine. You know, we brought them down, went to Disneyland. Nice. You know, we made the best of it, right? And I would never change that. You know, I think the opportunity was so amazing. You know, it helps us financially as a family. So they just know that this is good for our family. Dad just has to do it right now. Right. And then I come home and, you know, family is a big part of that. And so when it comes to balancing everything now, it's, you know, I take more days off than I ever used to, you know, and it's just when I'm in my golf lessons, I'm in my golf lessons. And I think that's what's helped me do well is everyone, my students know like they are everything to me right then, right? They feel special in that moment. They're coming for an experience. They're coming to get better at golf, and they're going to leave feeling great. And so when I'm at work, I'm there with them, but I'm not working myself into the ground like I might have done a little more in the past to kind of grow to where I've gotten today.
I understand.
Yeah.
So is there anything, there's a couple of other last things as we wrap things up here. Craziest thing that you've seen on the golf course? The craziest thing, like you've had a career, something that's just like head scratchers. And I always use this one, seeing somebody with an electric power cart drive that right into the water at Loomis, going, how does that happen? There's some really goofy things that happen. What's the craziest thing that you've seen on the golf course?
And you know what? I don't know. I can't think crazy off the top of my head. I would say like incredible.
Head scratcher?
Head scratcher is more like
incredible.
More like playing with this guy named Haotong Li, who's now on the PGA Tour. When I was playing in China, he was like 16 years old, and he had 2 eagles in one round when I played with him. And I'm just seeing someone that's so naturally gifted. It was almost like a good thing that I didn't play golf after that. I'm like, I can't do this. There's no chance. I'm just like, I was scratching my head because I'm like,
how are you that good?
Yes.
Yeah.
At 16 years old, he was already a pro.
Yeah.
And so I was just,
I understand.
That's always stood out to me. Be like, this is another level in golf.
I understand. And before we close off things here, I want to plug your website. What is your that if people wanted to reach out to you?
Yeah. So if they're coaches, nathanleonhardt.com.
Okay. And you have the academy.
Yeah. That's tdagolf.ca.
TDA and the social channels you are on Instagram.
Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
I do have TikTok. My first video did really good, and then I did a few others after that and didn't. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it.
And I know I've watched you've done some YouTube stuff too, which I watched because I'm a golf nut here.
I enjoyed that. This course record videos or trying to do this like the Bryson stuff. It's fun to do.
And it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
So anyway. On closing, there's a couple of things that I want to, a great big thank you as always to Ken Poirier and RiversideGolf.ca for sponsoring this podcast. They're fantastic people. They're local. It's a family-owned business, and I've known Kenny for a very, very long time. And he's a fantastic guy. And without him, we would not be able to produce this. Now, one of the things at the very end, and we discussed this a little bit before, I started doing something, and it's the celebration of a hole-in-one. And it came to mind, and I did one last week, and then I went, oh my God, I don't have one. And so I'm putting, and there's a young lady by the name of Brandy Thompson. Okay. And I'm going to, this is direct read here because I think getting a hole in one is so special that it requires some, it is.
It is.
I've never had one. This is her story. She had been nursing an injury and had taken off 9 days from golf, but this past Friday, she just couldn't say no. She set out on the golf course at Cultus Lake. She says she didn't have high hopes for the round, but on the second hole, which is a par 3, 130 yards, the pin was on a low spot on the green in a great location, but unfortunately it was covered by a little hill, so it was a blind shot. She hit a nice easy 8-iron, which was tracking the whole time, so she knew it was going to be good. She got to the green, looked all over the place for her ball, as we always do.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. But then she just said, let's just take a look in the holesy. And then the celebration began. She saw her ball in the hole, the best feeling of her life.
Awesome.
Congratulations to Brandy Thompson on jarring her hole-in-one on the second hole at Cultus Lake Golf Course. A shout out to her. Congratulations. We don't celebrate those things.
Yeah.
And I would encourage anyone, send, if you, and we want pictures, send those hole-in-one stories. We'll get them out. We're going to do them we do one of these every week. I want to celebrate that. Send it to Steve Teasoff at shipofools.ca with a brief description, and preferably a picture. And we're going to tell people, and not that
yours will be next.
Yeah, maybe, maybe I would love to. I've sunk from I've sunk, which could have been off the fairway, like 110-yard sand wedge, nice. Goes in, but it doesn't matter. You go, it doesn't matter. And with my luck, I get it. I'd be playing by myself, kind of thing. But you always need that verification. But anyway, Nathan, thank you so much for coming. I've really appreciated the time that you took out, and I appreciate you and telling your stories. I'm anxious and very, very interested in seeing season 2 of Stick.
Yeah.
And as I said, the whole purpose of this is to talk about golf, and be authentic about it, but to also promote those that are within the community. And you're a shining example of someone who has been in this community for a while and does some good promoting it, because I do believe that this game, if we could emulate this game a little bit more, I think the world would be a little bit better place. Sure. So,
well, thank you, and you do a great job promoting the game locally. So that's great.
I appreciate
what you're doing.
Thank you
very much.